I want to talk to you today about this thought. Is 90% of life simply taking our next step? Here's how I look at it. What happens if I don't take my next step in life? I become stagnant. A good word I like to think of it as is soft. And destructive behaviors begin to grow. In stagnant living, destructive behaviors grow. So where am I at right now? Where am I at? Where we are at tends to be a place of comfort. It's a place where we have a sense of control over our life and what's happening or what will happen. It's also the known. Even if we don't like where we're at least we know where we are at. So if we talk about next steps we need to take in life, here's how instinctually I want the steps to look. I want them to look impressive. I want them to look big. If I want to lose weight, I want to think that my next step is buying this big, expensive piece of exercise equipment. I also want next steps to look definite. That if I take this step, I will definitely get a certain result I'm looking for. But what next steps are really like are awkward. It's often into the unknown. You simply cannot know what the result will be. And next steps are usually simple. Next steps in life are generally something like this. There's nothing impressive about doing this. But when you do that and you take that step, you get to see this opportunity that you could not see from here. So what happens after I take a step? One is I get a new perspective. I see what I could not see before. It also opens up my life to new opportunities. And it also causes growth. Inaction causes weakness and these kind of things to flourish. When I simply take awkward, unknown, simple steps, it causes me to become stronger. And life seems to grow around me and grow with me. But this happens after we take the step. But let's talk about this thought. Whether or not we take our next step is 90% based upon the people in our life. Sounds simple, I know, but let's think about this. The people in our life help us see. How does this happen? It usually happens in conversation. It happens in a conversation where you just talk to someone that you know and you trust, and you tell them about a decision you're facing, or maybe a struggle that you have. And oftentimes, they can help you see just because they listen and just because you talk. They don't necessarily need to give us our next step or tell us what to do. But the very action of talking about something that I need to talk about helps me to get clarity. Secondly, the people in our life, they encourage us. For many people, the average, normal, default setting of a human is that we are afraid. And fear dominates our life. And fears and insecurities become the only thing that decide what we do. Oftentimes, our next step involves something called courage. So having people in our life that encourage us can cause us to take our next step and walk into our next thing. Thirdly, their presence is accountability. When we think about accountability, sometimes we think in terms of there are people that are pointing at us and telling us what to do. And sometimes that's part of accountability when when you have people in your life you trust like that. But I like accountability. To me, is the best, or accountability is organic. In other words, when I just hang out with people that believe in me and know me, and they know what I want to do with my life, their very presence gives me belief. Because there are times for all of us that we struggle with belief. And sometimes all we need is to be around people that believe in us, and it gives us the courage and belief to take the next step. So having people in our life that we consistently meet with gives an organic accountability that keeps us moving forward. And lastly, our next step with people is usually our next step. It's so interesting that I think we can all fall into this trap where we independently seek out something to do with our life, but nothing we do in life is really independent. Life is a team game. And so it's easy to get in the trap of thinking, I need to figure out something for me to do. What if instead of thinking, I need to figure out what I need to do, what if we just stay engaged with the other people in our life? Because oftentimes, my next step looks an awful lot like the person right underneath my nose. I hope this helps. I want to encourage you that your next step is probably something just awkward, simple, nothing unbelievable, no miracle required. But when you take that next step, it can bring results beyond what you could have imagined. I encourage you, maybe today the best thing you can do is pick up your right foot and move it forward and put it down. Now go take on the day.